Electromagnetic spectrum is an important topic, and one question for sure will come from this topic in the exam. So today we will learn how to remember the wavelength of all electromagnetic wave. I will tell you the best way to remember the series of electromagnetic spectrum. In our school days, we used to remember in the same way. It is quite funny but very easy to remember, and I'm sure that you will be able to get in your mind within a minute. So what you need to do, you need to remember this line: Rahul mother is visiting uncle Xavier garden. So the first alphabet of all the words in this line represent all the waves, represent all the electromagnetic waves. For example, R in Rahul stand for radio waves, M in mother microwave, I in is infrared, V in visiting visible, uncle ultraviolet, Xavier X-ray, and garden gamma rays. Now the wavelength is decreasing as we go down. So the wavelength is decreasing here. Now to find the wavelength of each electromagnetic wave, first you need to remember only the wavelength of visible light. So the wavelength of visible light is in between 700 to 400 nanometer. So this is the first step. Now the first step is put the wavelength of visible light in their rows. So the wavelength of visible light is between 700 nanometer to 400 nanometer. So we can write 700 nanometer to 400 nanometer. Second step is wavelength is same along the slant line. So wavelength is same along the slant line, nanometer, and this is 400 nanometer. Third step is put value 1 in rest of the column, put value 1 in the rest of second column, and meter is SI unit. So put value 1 in rest of second column except the last one, I mean the gamma one, except the last one. So you have to put one here, one here, one here, one here, except the last one. And SI unit of wavelength is meter. So put meter, 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 meter here. One extra m. So the fourth step is one extra m in respect of mother. So mother is the most important person here in the whole sentence. So we have to put one extra m in the row of mother. So it will become 1 mm. Fifth step is give dp to first and last. Now this is not the dp which we usually put in our social media account. This is English small letter alphabet D and P. Now D is coming before P, so put D first. So D first and P in the last. So in the ultraviolet region, you see 400 nanometer. So you put nanometer in the second column also. So nanometer. Now since since the wavelength is same along the slant line, so you can put 1 dm here, 1 mm here, 1 nanometer here, and 1 picometer here. So 1 dm is 1 decimeter, 1 mm is 1 millimeter, nm stand for nanometer, and pm stand for picometer. So this is picometer, which is 10 to the power minus 12. This is decimeter, which is 10 to the power minus 1. This is mm, 10 to the power minus 3. And the last step is greater than and small than symbol for the first and last. So greater than and a small than symbol for the first and last. Now if you summarize all this, the radio wave wavelength is greater than 1 decimeter, microwave 1 decimeter to 1 millimeter, infrared 1 millimeter to 700 nanometer, visible we already know 700 to 400 nanometer, ultraviolet 400 nanometer to 1 nanometer, X-ray 1 nanometer to 1 picometer, and picometer is 10 to the minus 12, and for the gamma rays less than 1 picometer.